What's going on, guys? Chuck here with another awesome Blu-ray purchase. Today, I've got one that was pre-ordered, I believe, sometime last year. I don't know if it was towards the end of last year, middle of last year, but it kept getting delayed and pushed back for any number of reasons. And now finally, Umbrella has released it, and it just delivered to me today. And that is the Masters of the Universe limited box set Blu-ray. Again, this is only Blu-ray, wasn't 4K. Now this was something I pre-ordered, like I said, once we announced, and this is, I can't remember when it was when they did announce it, it's been so long. But yeah, it went through a lot of pushbacks, delays, for whatever reason. Well, there were a couple reasons that I can think of. I remember getting an email that it was pushed back initially because there was something about the box design that didn't like, or it didn't work out for them, so they had to basically go back and scrap that design and redo it to different specs or whatever the case may be. So that was the first one that I recall. Then sometime later on, there was pushback because this was originally intended to be a region-free Blu-ray. However, for whatever licensing reasons or something or other, they had to make this a region B only Blu-ray. We'll get to that in a little bit. So that held it back for whatever reason, and well, that was the reason. They held it back for however many moons as it were, and finally it was released. I think last week. Of course, coming through customs took a little while, but it finally delivered here, and here it is. And I gotta say, for all the delays, I'm so pleased. This is actually a really beautiful set. For a film you wouldn't think get any kind of love, being Masters of the Universe. It's got a very sordid reputation from its time in the 80s, being based off a very popular toy line, which I was a fan of. It was Gal of the TV show. I didn't have a whole lot of He-Man figures. My big thing at the time was Transformers, but I did enjoy He-Man. I think I may have had a He-Man Transformer crossover at one point. But I think one thing they talked about in some of the interviews on here was one of the biggest problems with this film. Well, there are a lot of problems with this film, canon being one of them, was that by the time this came out, the Masters of the Universe line was basically on its downward spiral decline. It was, when it was in pre-production, the Masters of the Universe was up here, and by the time the film actually came out in 1987, the line had pretty much was on its last legs, and and it's too bad because it probably could have done a lot better if it was hitting at its peak. But there are other things that are obviously people mention Masters of the Universe that mention that are not up to spec for what they recall. Obviously, again, the fact that it's a canon film, it's got a low budget. Although it tries. I mean, it's they're trying. You can see it on the screen. I mean, you've got Dolph Lundgren, who would just come off of Rocky IV, and playing his best He-Man for whatever that's worth. You do have Robert Duncan McNeil, and who would go on to be known as play Tom Paris on Star Trek Voyager and become a gifted director in his own right. And of course, I believe this was the film debut of Courtney Cox, who would go on to do absolutely nothing after this, which is a damn shame, because I think she had some promise. But seriously, as a film, again, it's got. Oh, I should also say, I think the scene stealer of this, of course, is Frank Langella as Skeletor, which is crazy to think you have someone the caliber of Frank Langella playing this part, because that doesn't seem like. Well, I guess if you know Frank Langella, maybe it is something he would do. But caked under that mask and everything, putting out a performance and just handing it up. And actually, if you did know Frank Langella, you really wouldn't know it was him because the voice is kind of disguised. Now, you'd think it was the mask, and from what I understand from, I think, an interview with Richard Edlund, it mentioned that he, did really good. The mask actually constricted his speaking, which actually helped the character because he had to put it all out there. Then I guess the director had Frank go back in and do ADR, and said, and as Richard Edlund put it, I think Frank saw it and basically just quit halfway through and just phoned it in after that. And the performance wasn't as good in the ADR as it was the actual acting, which is interesting because he hams it up pretty good throughout. But anyways, so here is the set. This is basically released like a typical an Arrow limited edition box set. You've nice hard bound case, slip case. You've got your goodies inside. Here's your back here. A battle fought in the stars now comes to Earth. And I really like this. This is very striking. I don't know if you can tell or not, but He-Man himself is kind of embossed. So he's really sticking out. I mean, his image is sticking out. It's shining. It's reflective over the rest of the characters of Robert Downey McNeil and Courtney Cox and of course Frank Langella up here. But yeah, they really have his image sticking out. And it's kind of a smoother, glossier to the touch as opposed to the matte finish on the box. So here are your specs. And I'll bring a screenshot of everything on here. So what you get in here, as far as special features, are you have an audio commentary with director Gary Goddard. And then the biggest thing on here is extended interviews from the documentary Electric Boogaloo, which if you've not seen that, I highly recommend it. It's a very great documentary done by the same people, I believe, who did Machete Maidens, or was it? I forget. Machete Maidens, I think it's called, and Not Quite Hollywood. But it's a great documentary on Canon films and their kind of history. But there's extended interviews in here with Dolph Lundgren, Gary Goddard, who's the director, producer Ed Pressman, production designer William Stout, co-writer Stephen Tolkien, and a special effects supervisor Richard Ellen. This runs like an hour and a half, and these interviews are great. It's basically, I mean, even though they're interviews for Electric Boogaloo, they are really breaking down, the making of this film from their perspective. I mean, Dolph has a lot of, good insights of basically realizing he was a young, I think he said he was like 26 going on 18. He was so young and green and fresh. And they all have great insights, but I think especially interesting is Gary Goddard, the director, because he's just really fascinating, talking about what they had to do to get this film made, and the point where I think this tells a really fascinating story of how the movie was, of course this is all the time when Canon was kind of on their last legs as well, and there's a point where the film, on the last day of shooting, they just basically had this whole ending ready to go, and the production is at midnight, on the last night shooting, that's it, you're done. There's no ending. Well, what are we going to do? We have he had his whole setup for Skeletor and He-Man, and they clash of swords, and as a transition cut to whatever scene he had planned. But at midnight, they cut it. That was it. You're done. So he went to Golis. I can't remember how you pronounce his names, and basically said, "Well, what are we going to do?" He said, "Oh, we'll just fade out." You can't fade out. And how you end the movie? Yeah, just fade out. It'll be okay. But anyways, needless to say, he had to put in some money to basically his own personal money to get one day of shooting to finish the end of the film, because there was no end. They were just going to end like that, which blows my mind when I think about that. But again, this is Canon and Golden Globes we're talking about here. But yeah, his stories on this are very fascinating. So it's a great hour and a half of these extended interviews. I'm sure, obviously bits and pieces of this are in the Electric Boogaloo documentary, and if you can get your hands on that, I highly recommend it. It's very fascinating, very good, very insightful, and dealing with other stuff obviously not just Master Universe, but that whole Canon Golden Globus era. What else you've got on here is Tales of the Sequel That Never Came. It's like a little 4-part snippet talking about their idea of doing a Master Universe 2. Which I find interesting because at the time they were thinking about doing this in the process of when they were going to be doing Spider-Man and Master Universe 2 around the same time, and of course they lost the rights of both films and that didn't work out. But it's an interesting little 4-minute bit. Then you have an archival making of, which again is only like 4 minutes, so you're not gonna get much in the making of those 1980s real quick archival things you'd see on videotape or wherever they put these little special features. Just real quick snippets of the film, getting you hyped into who's going to be in it, what's going to be in it. Then you have like 20-minute trailer reel, or trailers, I should say, of Canon sci-fi fantasy films. So just 20-minute trailers, which is really cool. There's a lot of, there's trailers for Master Universe, which is interesting that they have a trailer for Master Universe in this 20-minute set, because there's also have the teaser and theatrical trailer for Masters Universe already on here as a special feature as well. But they have trailers for the Hercules movies, the Barbarians, Life Force, and other, assorted, canon sci-fi fantasy films. And apparently there's an Easter egg here. There's an Easter egg. I have not seen. I have to go back and look at that Easter egg. I didn't see that. Be curious to see what that is. Let's see. Was there anything? And of course, stills and poster gallery. And this here, if you look at this, was interesting. I didn't realize this how limited this was. This is limited to 3,000. I was able to grab 595. Where's that? There's see there, which is pretty cool. I did pop in the movie for a little bit to check it out. See, look, really good. It sounded great. The sound on here is listed as 2.0 DTS MA in English audio. But for a 2.0, it's really crisp. It's really singing. Actually, comes across as a surround. I've got a 7.1 surround system. Obviously, you're not using all the speakers, but if it's only 2.0 and it's just indicating, you're usually 2.0, you're only working on your two main channels and possibly your center. But this is really, it gives you, if it's not, it gives you a great illusion that it is a good surround. So I was impressed with that. Just going through the first 20 minutes or so, just kind of checking it out. So it has got a really good sound mix. Very crisp, very nice. Okay, so let's take a look at the Blu-ray. And here's the slipcase, or slip cover, I should say. Which says, only the universe could hold adventure this big. Here's the back of it. Pop it out. Now, this artwork is reversible. About the only thing that's different is the same artwork. However, the other side will have your little umbrella or your rated, your PG rating, whatever it is. Yeah, if I can get this out. So yeah, this is the reverse artwork. It's the same thing except it just has this label. I know a lot of collectors, people don't like those kind of labels, so it's nice that they give you the clean version, although it does still have the umbrella, so you gotta deal with that. Of course, back with your features and your disc. Now, as I was saying, this is, it says it on here, it should, somewhere. It doesn't, but I know it did somewhere. I saw it a minute ago, earlier. Actually, I think it's, yeah, here it's on the back sleeve. This is listed as being Region B, locked. And as I said, one of the emails I got about this on the label, and I think it was even posted on Facebook and other social media, was that where they intended to release this as a region-free disc, for whatever legal reasons, they had to make it Region B locked. So, on that note, just out of curiosity, because I know Umbrella, I have a couple of Umbrella Blu-rays, and a couple of them are listed as Region B, and they still play on the region they play. They're still region free. So I thought I'll give it a shot just for the heck of it. And I played it in my 4K player, and it came up perfectly. No problems whatsoever. So just to be safe, I went ahead and tried it in the PS5. In case for some reason, it being a 4K player, I don't know. Why not? But I still put it in my PS5, and it played perfectly. So this Region B locked Blu-ray is actually region free. I don't know if that's something they're aware of, something they're trying to sneak by, and I just blew that whole thing wide open. But this disc is region free. It is not. It's listed as Region B, so I guess legally that's right, whatever their case may be, or maybe they work something out at the end. But regardless, like I said, that was the big thing, was they had to change this and make it Region B locked, but it is in fact region free, so you can play this on your regular player or your PS5. So there's that. Also inside here, I didn't get to pull this out, there is a poster. Let's check it out here, and we got your theatrical poster, and on the reverse side you've got that nice artwork, which I really do like. This is great. I mean, the poster art is great. You can't fault the film. The film's trying, without question. I mean, You know, if you listen to, you know, the director talking about it, and, you know, there were a lot of things against this film being canon, Golden Globus, but damn it, they were trying. And it's kind of a shame, you know, looking back, that it didn't get a chance to do better. But I mean, there are some faults, obviously, you know. But most of it, I think, is when you probably needed a better actor than Dolph Lundgren. Even he kind of admits that, and he's young, green. You know, there's a famous story where Sylvester Stallone came on set, talked, you know, and saw Dolph and talked to the director and said, "Hey, you gave lines to that guy?" And of course, this is after Rocky IV, where I think Dolph Lundgren had like 4 or 5 lines tops in the whole movie, and nailed him for what he was supposed to do. But being able to carry a lead like this, and granted, you know, He-Man isn't the most, you know, depth character. I mean, he's a plastic toy with a furry underwear. What are you gonna do? So, you know, I don't know what more you could really, you know, get with that role. I mean, it's possible. Again, the writing is what it is, and again, it's stuff that's discussed in that, you know, those extra interviews, which is, they're very fascinating list of what, you know, how the creative people feel behind it, you know, which they wanted to do, what they were able to do, what they could do, and so on and so forth. Also in here, moving on, looks like we got some typical stock lobby cards. Let's pop these open. And these are very thick stock too. They're blank on one side. There's no like reverse image, so let's give you the shots here. These are nice glossy cards. Like I said, they're very thick stock. Very bright and colorful. And that was something I mentioned too about the film, is that it doesn't have the look, film-wise, of a canon film, because I think the director mentioned that, you know, there was a certain kind of film stock they had a agreement with that gave them certain film bulk. It's why everything looked the same, and they knew that the effects had to be shot at a certain kind of film, and, you know, caused them to actually have to buy this particular film to shoot these roles, which made the film look a little better than a typical canon production. So it does have that going for it. When you've got Oscar winner Richard Edlund doing visual effects as best he could, you know, there's a lot of pluses in this film that, again, it's trying, but I think obviously the script and the studio issues, I think, are really what fail it in the end, and possibly some casting a little bit. You got some great casting in here, mainly Frank Langella, and you can't cast a better Evil Lynn than Meg Foster. Those eyes, she just looks like she would be the embodiment of Evil Lynn, and, you know. But again, you suffer from a weak He-Man, which doesn't seem like the right thing to say, weak He-Man. But also included is, you know, a nice booklet here. So this is really like a very much in the vein of an Arrow release, but without that great Arrow smell. So here's some of the working pictures and what we got going on here. There's a lot. Nice write-ups, I'm sure more. I haven't really gone into the book yet. It's very stiff. But it'd be fascinating to read this and, you know, and learn a little more about the production of this film, because I've only heard rumors and hear, you know, faint stories about it, and just from what your eyes see, what you see on screen. So again, it was very fascinating to hear those interviews. Like I said, it's not really a making of necessarily, but those interviews, even though they were done for Electric Boogaloo, really go in depth and give you a lot of insight onto the making of Masters of the Universe, and, you know, what a trouble production it was. Well, trouble in the sense of it, there's so much more that could have been done to make it better. Okay, let's see, get all this packed back up. But, like, you know, for a release that I pre-ordered, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was sometime last year, maybe the latter half of 23, and, you know, it waited. At one point where I forgot it, but to finally see it released and get it, and, you know, it's a great set. And the fact that, again, it was supposed to be region be locked, and it's not. It's region free. makes it even better. Of course, a lot of people decided to hold off on this because of that fact. Once it was announced it was going to Region B locked, and they decided not to get it to wait for a North American release because a lot of people don't have a region-free player, which is understandable. But I will echo the words of Christian Hanahar and tell you, if you're not region-free, get region-free. That's a lesson I learned a long time ago as well. And in this case, it didn't matter because it is region-free. But for all the people who didn't get it because they felt it was going to be, they were told it was going to be Region B, this is sold out. It ain't coming. It's not, at least not this version. Umbrella will probably release like a standard edition later on, and that one may be Region B locked. I don't know. So, but I'll tell you, this one at least is not. This limited edition version was region free. But again, there are so many great releases that have been put out, or Air UK, Second Sight Films, Umbrella, all these companies overseas, that they won't do here in America for whatever reason. Like usually licensing reasons or whatever. And sometimes you'll get the similar release in the States, but you'll get the fancier one overseas for whatever reason. Again, it comes down to preference. But in some cases, you're going to get films that aren't available here, only available overseas. So again, get region free. It's worth it. It really is. And again, if you're getting 4Ks from overseas, 4Ks are region free. They're going to play no matter what. So that's a plus. So enough about that. Masters Universe limited edition, Umbrella Entertainment. Excellent release. Really stoked about it. So I'm glad it finally came. It's a long time coming. This is actually the first in a series of box sets I purchased from Umbrella. I think I have like 4 or 5 coming. I believe the end of this week they are releasing that Super Mario Brothers, that 1-Up edition, which is the re-release of their original huge deluxe box set, which I missed out on. Which I wasn't sure I was gonna get it, but I missed out on it. But luckily, Umbrella was great and decided to re-release, a second edition of it with a few slight altered changes, all the same stuff. But I think instead of a hardcover book, they're putting a soft cover and a few other. I don't think the film cells that they had in the original were going to be available, but minor stuff. But for the most part, it's the exact same set, which is really great. I've got a hold of that, and of course. Just a couple days ago, they announced Caligula box set, and if you know me, I'm looking forward to Caligula because I'm just debaucherous. It just looks amazing. This 4K Ultimate cut. Wow. But yeah, there's that. The Late Night with the Devil box. There's a couple other ones that I pre-ordered. So that's. Yeah, I've done a lot with Umbrella in these box sets, but they've been putting out some really great stuff, or nice announcements. So I'm looking forward to picking that up or picking those up, and hopefully, like I said, I believe that Mario Bros. Box was supposed to ship at the end of this week, or release by the end of this week. So hopefully, it gets shipped out soon, and I can get my hands to take a look at it. But enough about Mario. We're talking He-Man. So there it is once again. Master Universe limited edition from Umbrella Entertainment, region free, might add. So if you've got this, if you did pick it up and you're worried it's only region B, it is region free. At least mine was. So enjoy. And if you missed out, hopefully they'll release a standard edition, which I'm sure that Umbrella probably will. They're usually good about that. Okay, so that is it for this. If you enjoy this, click thumbs up, share, subscribe, leave me a comment below. Let me know if you picked up Masters Universe, that limited edition, or did you, pass on it once you found out it was region free? Did you order it, and then when you found out it was going to be region free, just cancel your order, or whatever the case may be? Or if you did get it, is yours region free too? I'm curious if, I'm sure mine's not the only one, but it'd be interesting to see because it was a big deal that it had to be changed to region B, being a region B locked disc, and here we get it, and it's region free. So Very interesting. Or just say hi. I'll always take hi. So until next time, this is Chuck saying I will see you on the other side.